All right. Here we are with Broken Worlds, Exalted, Gangs of New Gloam. The outro episode. I am Devin, the referee, and you can just say your names, guys. To my left, we have...
Nicole.
Ian.
Kevin.
Peter.
Anthony.
All right, gang. We just wrapped up the 14 sessions of our latest Broken Worlds game, Gangs of New Gloam. I think this game was pretty fun, pretty light and loose. It was definitely one of our more, I'm going to say laid-back shows.
How many sharks did we jump?
Yeah.
It was like you know, it was fun. It was very easy. The stakes weren't
That high.
dramatically high. Like the stakes were high in the fiction, but like it wasn't like super dramatic.
Hmm.
It was more like our Savage Rifts game.
There wasn't that much crunch, there was that much backlogging, whatever. Just did whatever we felt like doing.
Yeah,
each
we
episode.
explored some fun concepts. It was a very kind of easy breezy game.
Yep.
So, let's talk about the game itself, then we'll talk about the system Broken Worlds, and then maybe we'll talk about PBTA or Exalted. So, Gangs of New Gloam. I don't know, what do people think about, say, setting, characters, favorite moments, least favorite moments?
I really like the setting. It's like interesting enough. Maybe we could have explored more, going in and out, and having some problems with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there for that.
I think we had to keep it short to keep the flow. We had to get to the next combat kind of
I like the setting. The fact that assassin is such a loose term is
That was a lot of
very
fun.
amusing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole...
It was a nice prototyping for it to give it meat later.
Generally, the League of Assassins was interesting, colorful, and fun to deal with.
Can we talk about the one that we cut at the end there?
Which one did we cut?
We were going to do like the children's card game.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
To the Shadow Zone.
So I had an idea for an assassin where if you go to fight them, you wouldn't be able to actually physically try to assassinate them. Like you could probably jump across the table and try stabbing them a bunch of times. But the assassin was actually the deck of cards. It was like an enchanted deck of Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, where you would have to play, Yu-Gi-Oh duel monsters, and like all of your moves would be contextualized through pulling cards and pulling strategy. So if you did reach him through violence instead of stabbing him, you'd be like, I play the murder crab, and then I combine it with the unicorn laser, and then I give it crab style martial arts and the chakras of purity.
You've activated my trap card.
Exactly. That would have been the whole fight in my mind. It'd have been you guys went on the battlefield being like, wait, why are we on the battlefield? It's like, well, someone has to represent your guys.
This is like the Harry Potter thing,
Yeah, it was
isn't
a
it?
fucking Harry Potter chess.
God damn it.
You'd go like, I'll use the labyrinth of the underworld. It's like, you guys have to go through the labyrinth.
Oh, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah. It would have been a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It would have been stupid and fun.
I think we'd already jumped the shark enough with the assassins.
I think that the assassin would have just
talk-
been like a disciple of Segareth or something.
You couldn't top Space Jam.
No, Space Jam was as stupid as I could possibly get. It was amazing. I loved it.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Why?
I was having a shower one day and I thought of it and it wouldn't get out of my head.
You just had to get it out there.
Brain spiders.
Brain spiders.
Better this game than a more serious one you just throw Space Jam into halfway through.
Fucking Charles Barkley, the demon basketball, and the Harlem Globetrotters.
There's literally no game that we've played where a basketball impromptu game popping out of nowhere would be out of place. We could have done it in Ravenloft. And it would have been fun.
Considering that someone almost convinced me to have the Predator, like the actual space alien, show up in Ravenloft as like he crashed into Ravenloft and was hunting, like vampires and monsters. That is very true. It almost happened.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool.
It does, right?
That sounds really
The
cool.
Chronicles of Darkness, like deep, gritty, investigative, like X-Files game, but it's also a predator. It's cloaking itself. It has the 3 dots on the back of your head.
I love in that space game we were playing.
Black Star, Stars Without
Yeah, we
Numbers.
go to that one planet and there's this like, oh yeah, aliens crashed here a while ago. Here's their skeletons, and it's aliens
Xenomorph.
and predators, and we're like, fuck, we need to leave now.
We're out of here. We're in the wrong neighborhood. This is why this doesn't have any coordinates to it.
Yeah. I still think the best moment was Boundless Jurisdiction dealing with his partner.
I think so too. I think that's a really high point. The husband.
Highlight of the whole game.
I kind of feel bad, like you got like railroaded into that because you're like
No,
you set some things, but then you didn't like think through, like, hey, me being a solar, because obviously you built your character.
That was like a
so like, me
perfect
being
twist.
a solar
Yeah.
exalt, like, you didn't think it through almost.
It was perfect though. It's
Are you trying
sad.
Your ex-partner's there. It's like, are you trying to fuck my husband?
Seriously, it's like, hey, why don't you come inside for some coffee? And I'm like, oh, fucking, I don't think so.
The killer croc appears.
Oh boy,
That was really good. That was
Yeah.
that was a nice setup.
that was heartbreaking.
And he used the Undertale fighting style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shit,
Which I
forgot about
always
that.
hate when you fucking bring out, because that one time you use it on
Rack
Wanderer, I
sucks.
get triggered every time.
That I survived because I literally have no sin.
You piece of shit.
I was
I like how
next time when we be fighting, I'm like, oh, just turn into like Ebon Dragon. Like, I have all the sin. I am sin before there was a virtue.
All right, take 50 more damage in a game where it goes 2 to 4.
Reflect back to you.
Reflect back to you.
Oh.
Talk to the hand.
Are we just gonna play bounce back?
Right,
Reflect.
it's a Ganon fight where you're reflecting sins back at each other.
Except
Using
for
the
like
fairy
perpetual-
bottle. You didn't get the sword.
You were saying, Ian.
Oh, I was gonna say I liked how Child slowly went from like this. Okay, let's not kill anyone. To okay, we're just gonna kill everybody because that's what you guys do, and I can't stop
Have
it.
some-
Oh, he was literally always fine with the murder. He just wanted specific people murdered without
Collateral damage.
much collateral damage. He just became more overt about it later on. He says, "No, we need to go kill these assassins."
They're silly.
Slowly.
Plugging their stab wounds with peyote dust.
I'm on this adventure to figure out what an assassin is, and I still don't know.
That was
Why
probably
do you
one-
have to be like that?
That was probably one of the best lines ever. What the fuck is an assassin?
It wasn't even like an attack on your character. It's literally like, "What's an assassin? Why do you call yourself this? You just murder people."
I was literally trained in heaven in the best universities and study groups, and I learned a lot of stuff. What the fuck is an assassin? They taught me wrong.
So you were taught in
I
private
mean,
schools.
to be fair, yeah, you probably thought like, you know, like I'm your stereotypical assassin, like cloak and dagger, and then like all of a sudden we're having basketball games. Like, what the
It's
fuck?
like, "Where's
is
your
this?
gimmick? What is your gimmick?"
My gimmick is I'm actually an assassin.
That's the joke. I'm the only
What
serious
you
character.
do?
I'm the TN.
That makes
of
you the one that's
assassins.
assassin, weirdly. I was like, that makes you the wrong one. That means you're doing it wrong.
But I'm the one who's winning. I'm beating them. I'm doing something right.
I also like the gangs. Like, the gangs didn't get to feature as much as they could have, just because
Oh my god,
Yeah.
the fucking
I wondered-
the pogo sticks.
The
I was like,
vampires.
back off, creep.
I wanted to see more of the motorcycle gang because they seemed really cool.
Yeah.
A lot cooler than a fucking pogo stick gang. What were you thinking?
Fucking love that. The
What are
slow,
you
like, they
thinking?
slowly turned around to look at us. It's just, oh,
They're on pogo sticks with knives on the bottom.
that was wonderful. That was like, oh, I
so
fucking
good.
love that.
I would play a character who had that gang in any other game too.
Right?
Like, they're hopping vampires, so why do they hop? They don't just hop around like bunnies. No, they tie their legs together. They bind their legs around a pogo stick, and they come at you, bro.
Oh my god.
Like, they have to travel in groups. They have a buddy system so they can hold each other's shoulders to kind of orient and stuff. They're always pogoing. You can't stop pogoing. If the shark stops swimming, it'll die. If the vampire stops hopping, it'll get caught by the sun. I can build an entire culture around those hopping vampire gangsters. A vampire that doesn't hop gets caught by the sun.
Please don't. Please just stop now.
No.
Never again.
Please do.
No.
I don't want this.
So the roller skating girl gang, like the 80s girls gang, they didn't get to show as much. The pogo stick guys, there was like corrupt people too. There were some more
Oh my
tamer.
god, the fucking Bowsette. You fucking
Oh,
dressed
yeah.
up as
Yeah.
like fucking
I forgot about that.
and lured it. Oh my god!
Oh.
And then you're like, oh shit! Now I'm just trapped in a bathroom with
The
it.
really horny
All
guy.
time to put out.
And he has expectations.
Right?
There's an implication.
Implication. This
Nobody's in
bathroom
real
is very-
danger.
This bathroom is very dingy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
would certainly be no danger, so they are in danger.
No, you're not understanding.
He gets so mad, and Matt gets so like frightened looking, like he's like flinching back, and it just makes Dennis angry.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
Like, one thing I liked mechanically from the Broken Worlds was, like, in my character that he suffered from, I think, the inverse ninja, syndrome, where he's stronger on his own than with the group, because I think during some of the combats, some of the attacks coming at us were like, oh, if someone fails, everybody gets like 1 or 2 damage. which my character like has problems with because that's like can chip away at him. Versus if he's alone, like if he fails, usually it's like a direct attack at him and he just deflects that back. So
It's much more effective.
yeah,
I think that's more of an
Like,
oversight on how to handle that deflection power. Like, not handles and make it weak, just... I should have given it another look and kind of, in the many weeks we were playing this, and recontextualize what it's doing. But, whatever.
but still, it was like an interesting thing.
I wasn't worried enough to try to go in and take a look if it was causing harm or being used too much, or like, if I wasn't using it right, so it was fine.
Yeah.
We weren't. None of us were abusing our powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying not to.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
max
had
the shit
some
out. It wasn't
weird
about, like-
stuff that.
Yeah, it wasn't about dealing like the most damage. It was more about being flashy and having fun
Yeah.
combats.
It's still, like, we're a year out of playing The Veil and then Broken Worlds. I think we played... Did we play another Power Wave Apocalypse game
Yeah,
before
we
this?
played Broken Worlds with me and Kevin.
Okay, so Broken Worlds and The Veil.
Yeah.
So we're still on, I think, game 2 of Power Wave Apocalypse a year later. And I think I'm starting to get it there. I didn't really get it as much during The Veil and the first time we ran through this, but like probably 3/4 of the way through this, a lot of those principles started to click more.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that Broken Worlds isn't... Like, it's a good game, but it's not the best Power Wave Apocalypse example, and I think people will just, they'll come to that, right?
I really like
I
Broken Worlds.
I'd play
The Veil was definitely like so different from the games that we were playing.
Yeah.
That I had a hard time grasping it at the time. But yeah, Broken Worlds is really fun. I've played 2 different playbooks now. I like it.
I definitely want to try like the boss playbook. That looks like a lot of fun.
That one is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That looks like a good time. There's a couple of them that just look like a good time.
Mhm.
Exactly. And like we have a maybe third game where Kevin will be running in the future where I'll get to play.
It's another Broken Worlds one.
Yeah, another Broken Worlds. Well, I'll be able to play the Fury. Nicole might be doing the Faded.
Probably,
I think
yeah.
it's the Faded. You're actually playing just the protagonist splat.
And that one will be taking place in the Prince of the Universe canon.
Really?
Ish.
Ish, like
Ish.
alongside, like
No, not
No.
alongside. You'll see.
Is it gonna be
If
a
you're not
cameo?
playing, we're not going to spoil it for you because you'll actually get to listen to it fresh and you'll see how fucking crazy it gets.
Okay,
You
fair
hear
enough.
your
Plus, we're
voice.
recording. We don't want to spoil everything.
Oh yeah, that fucking too. But I like Broken Worlds. I think after we do Kevin's game, I'll be comfortable putting it to bed for a bit. Mostly because I think we've mined a lot of the material out of it.
We want to do at least. Yeah.
We like the Broken Worlds. Isn't a bad system, but like there's a lot that if you're not really focusing on it, you might just like glance over like like all the tags we're throwing at each other, like mine's AP, it's area.
Those really matter.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
unless you're saying you want to pay attention to all of them, like eventually it just starts being like a noise that you're.
I can see that definitely.
Yeah.
But, like I was keeping track of like situations where like you needed area or you needed to do a lot of damage to a lot of stuff. I was trying to contextualize it in the fiction of how they were being effective. It's just it can get a bit overwhelming with 5 people.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing with. I feel
Like when we did, I'll let you finish. Sorry.
Like the thing Broken was maybe better with a little bit less people was at 5. At some point it was like that if we were all engaged in combat, some of you just wanted to let other people go and so on.
Well,
Like,
yeah, with the whole, it's not turn-based, right?
Yeah, I
so
like that.
That was
a
a
lot
big
of us
thing in this
are.
game I was trying to nail down in my head.
Well, we're so used to just turn-based
like-
games that it was a little hard to break free
That's
from
always
that.
how it's been, right?
And then it's
Yeah.
also we don't want to steal the spotlight from
Yeah.
someone else,
yeah,
so
like
it's kind
everybody
of
should have their
Yeah.
chance, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, hey, this like Nicole needs to kill the warden here.
yeah,
kind
or
of
like
stuff.
you need
Like,
to
we're
kill
not all
the
just-
assassin,
We're not all
or
just gonna like stomp on them to
Yeah.
get the kill out as quickly as possible.
yeah.
so even though it doesn't have turns, we're still playing sort of almost
Yeah.
turn-based because like
But we're being
that's-
fair, you know.
Yeah, exactly. The fair thing to do.
I think it'd be good for like
Fellowship contextualizes the spotlight as
Oh,
the
the
thing
spotlight,
characters get, and they fade afterwards.
Yeah.
Fellowship, I said, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's nice. Like it knows about this. It kind of tries to show you that it's good to take a lot of it sometimes.
Like
it's not
Chubos.
Chubos too, fading into the background and fading as an actor's thing in and of itself, like a role playing thing. Like that's a whole thing people write about in the LARP communities. Fade and stuff.
Yeah.
I need to look at it more because I don't
Interesting.
limited amounts.
it's cool that they actually like build mechanics in. For
It's a
that
known
kind of
thing. Yeah.
That's cool. But it's cool that it just comes about naturally in Broken Worlds. Like the system just allows for it. You
Yeah.
doesn't really need a mechanic, but I mean,
Well, I think my thing with the turn-based things. I was definitely trying to drive. Here's the situation. What do you want to do? And then when you
Yeah,
do it,
sure.
I'm trying to be like, okay, here's what you doing has changed the situation. Who wants to react to that? I was trying to make it a straight line with you guys hooking onto it and pulling it in directions as you went, as opposed to like everyone going around, you know, entering commands into a video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was really trying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think I've noticed that as much. Like, maybe now you get it with trying to do something, but it's usually like, oh, you want to punch things, you want to deal damage. Usually that everything came down to that rather than having to do something else. Because unfortunately, that's the Broken World side.
Broken World is kind of based on Dungeon World, and Dungeon World, like I don't want to say it's kind of based on it in like slight Tom or anything, but I think that was the thing, because Dungeon World has a very combat-y system where it's based on emulating the D&D combat a bit. So I think the problem we were having is we were following that thing too, where it's like you were saying, it's like, well, I want to beat this thing up so I can do damage. Whereas what I was trying to do in the final fight was like, no, the damage is a secondary thing. You don't want to do damage. What do you want to do? It's like, well, I want to defeat this thing. Well, what action would you take to start defeating this thing? Like, if it's a big thing with multiple things going on, well, I need to stop it from doing this, or I need to interrupt this, or I want to bring the roof down on it. And that would translate over to like, well, then I need to do damage to it.
I know that's something that I struggle with a lot in like Princes of the Universe.
Same.
Like a lot. Like I never knew what to fucking do. It's like, well, I guess I'll just punch him because I'm the punchy guy. Like that's how I do damage with punching, right?
I think in the Fellowship they have some something for that. Like I know that when you're having like a showdown or whatever, where the big bad happens in the system, you have a combat one, or you can have something that, you know, a Colossus appears and it's a multi-part stage where you can't punch it because it's too big, but you have to do stuff to
weaken it, and that will do damage and eventually
but there's a big problem that you need to solve.
It's a landscape feature. It's like, this is a big puzzle. And it's like, well, you have to take out its power core. To take out the power core, you have to weaken its armor. To weaken its armor, you have to do something about its binding. It's like, you have to solve it like a puzzle until it falls apart.
I feel like we broke that last boss really fast because I immediately was like, hey, roots maybe.
No, that's great. That's kind of what I was trying to push towards, where it's like, this thing wasn't a stat block. It was a series of obstacles and challenges that all held together the concept of the boss as a threat. And once you took apart those hooks and challenges, it would fall apart into a boss that has been overcome. I was trying to think of it like that the whole fight, just to try and move away from...
I think it does make for, like... It kind of reminds me more of, like, a... what would you call it? Like, one of those games where you fight giant monsters.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus style experience where, like, it actually is, like, multiple stages. You have to do multiple things to lay it down. It felt more like, almost more video gamey in a way, because it was more interactive along the way.
It was a lot of me trying to reshape how I was putting the fight across, and it's something I only got really recently. And Fellowship, because we're talking a lot about Fellowship and the Broken Worlds takedown, of course. I think it does that. I think it'll help us with that more if we ever move over to it, because in a combat, you only have, in a conflict, better way to phrase it, you only have to get advantage over your opponent, and then you have to cash in that advantage to finish them and remove them from the fight. And that advantage can be contextualized with or without violence. Advantage can be, you know, you have their weak point on them, or advantage could be that, you know, you have your knife to their throat, or you've kicked out their bad knee. Or advantage could be you blackmail them, or advantage could be that you hold, you know, you have their like kid hostage, and then you take them out, and they're out of the fight because you spend that advantage. Where it's like, I will, you know, I'll take out your kid, or I've blackmailed you, or I'm going to reveal to you that the Overlord is fucking your wife behind your back, and he's like, what? And he's out of the fight. They're done. That's what I was trying to kind of push for, but I don't think I did the best job of it in this game.
Yeah, I think like I'd personally like, you know, play something else and maybe come back to Broken Worlds in the future. Because as is, I think I've like experienced like, oh, I know what it's about, and it feels a little bit like when we were playing Savage Worlds. We're like, oh, it's combat focused. If you want to do that,
yeah, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Like, yeah, if you feel like that's the game you want to do, sure, use it. But if you want to do other things, then maybe it's not the best system for it. At least maybe it doesn't have as many tools as it has for combat, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I'm comfortable saying that it's super
purely
combat focused, because it is. It's based around the idea of, like, you know, those types of movies and shows and media where violence is the method of communicating what's going on, like of communicating challenges and consequences and the will of the protagonists and the antagonists.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really pretentious way to say it's based off old martial arts movies and, like, myths and shit, obviously. But I don't think it's just a combat engine, because a lot of the moves don't have to be about, like, a one-on-one, like, RPG fight. There's more going on, and I think one of the things I'm going to look towards more when we play Kevin's game is trying to use the rules more holistically. Like, trying to use the moves in a way that's more, like, fiction-focused.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the charm system. Like, there's a lot. You can like apply it to a bunch of situations.
Yeah. Exalted 3rd Edition actually had a really good philosophy related to this, because in 2nd Edition and 1st Edition, charms were not your character. Charms were spells your character had. So, in Exalted 2nd Edition, you literally had a charm, basically, that if you're a bureaucracy character, that would, run an organization for you. You activate the charm, and the charm is the actor. The charm is fixing the organization for you because you've run it like a program. Or a charm to run your army for you, or a charm to kill your enemies for you, or a charm to stop, to make, a demon horde. The charms did the things. And the philosophy with 3rd Edition was the charms aren't their own actors. The charms are a way to highlight and empower the choices and consequences of the character. So, like, there is no charm that will make you a good ruler. There's just a charm that will enable you to have more control over how you rule. It'll make your will better. And I don't remember what started that thread, but it seemed relevant at the time. I don't remember what you said.
I just said the word charms. You went on a tangent about it. I was actually meant like charm system.
Charms
is like
I
just meant charms as in gifts, as in just Exalted lore.
Yeah.
Charm. Word using the word, but
sorry, man. It came into my mind that moves are kind of like that. Moves aren't supposed to be things you do. Like, you're not supposed to do, I run the heaven through violence move, and it takes care of my problem for me. It's like, I'm going to take care of this problem, and I'm going to do it through the lens of heaven through violence.
yeah.
And again, just...
You do the thing, and then it's like, okay, this is the role that would be associated with the thing.
How do you want the thing to be represented now that you've done it? What are you looking for? What do you want?
And I mean, a lot of those could be done, again, in social situations, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm trying to think.
I think there were stats I think I only ever rolled, like, body and... Like maybe like Dex mostly, and then maybe like once or twice mind the whole game. So,
the classes are really good. We've talked at length about the playbooks. They're real fun.
Yeah.
A lot of them are wonky. I like that moves are always true. Like, moves for the most part are facts about your character that are true, that happen. I like that.
Yeah, the success over 50% of the time was neat, with just subtle consequences, and then, rather than having we attack, person attacks back, or we do something, you fail miserably, like, yeah.
The way I'm starting to run it, and this is probably how it's meant to be run, and I guess it just hasn't clicked, but the way I'm starting to try to run it now is that, and this seems obvious in hindsight, I feel like I've stated the obvious, is no matter, even if you do succeed, your actions should change. Your actions should change the fabric of the scene in some way. Because what I remember from older games, like when we play D&D, or even when we play Godbound, stuff you do doesn't really change the circumstances of the fight so much that it just continues down the same rhythm until the enemy runs out of HP. So, like in Broken Worlds, it should be, you do reach heaven through violence, and you do it perfectly, so there's not going to be like a huge consequence. I should throw in a reaction to that changes the fight in such a way that doing it twice in a row isn't
necessarily beneficial.
Well, not beneficial, but appealing. You should want to do something else.
Like,
Sorry.
It's like I did something awesome, and now there's like 10 more awesome things I can do because of a consequence of the awesome thing I did.
I used Reach Heaven Through Violence to take out that head boss. Now I'm going to use the Intimidate one or the Might one to grab this guy by the throat and use him as a human shield, or make sure these other guys scatter off.
Or
the idea that you branch to other things if you want to.
Turn the underlings onto my side, because the boss, they're now afraid of me instead of the boss.
My reactions to how you guys take actions should make you want to use different moves and not keep hitting the same button over and over. I think when we do Fellowship, whoever we run that with, I'm going to try to angle it that way. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be done. It feels like it is, but...
Yeah, really gotta take a look at that one. It sounds... If there's more rules and stuff in it, sounds good.
You'll like it.
Like if it's just Broken Worlds, but more, then it should be good.
Yeah, no, that's a good... It's true enough, Peter. It's powered by the apocalypse. It's the same philosophy. It's true enough.
I'm a layman, so...
It's basically what it is. I'm not going to bog you down with the specifics. It's the same philosophy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I didn't mean it was like the same fucking word for word book, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I liked how, switching tracks a little bit, I liked how Shu just got more and more ridiculous as we got more and more comfortable with the setting and the style.
Right? At some point, you just have to stop giving it an absolute fuck.
Yeah, no, exactly.
As soon, what did it was when I figured out the voice. The second that voice for Shu, that
Yeah.
it was over.
Yes.
Yes.
Can't even do it. I can't get enough air to come out my nose and still make noise.
I partially used that voice in the Persona game for the these little candle jacky personas that like they're bullies, like they're tattly like 8-year-old bully kind of guys. So it's like like they'll repeat what you say in that voice in that tone.
No.
Oh man, it gets people's goat.
Bah.
And it's like, we were looking for something. Can you help us find it? We're looking for something. Can you help us find it? It's like, oh my god.
And then they were never seen from again.
Burn it to the ground.
You wonder why
Murder's
genocides
one.
happen.
Yeah.
You wonder why there's always a genocide.
But yeah, she was great. That was a nice little NPC there.
Yeah, it's nice to have an NPC in
This is
the game to just kind of...
This is something that's been popping up in Persona a bit, and I think maybe a little bit in Godbound. It's tricky to run individual scenes when you kind of want the group around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is an obvious thing. Like, this is role-playing 101, for fuck's sakes. But, I don't know. I've been having not writer's block, but a sort of, like... I've been thinking a lot of how to handle, like, you know, you're talking with NPC, and it's an invested scene. But, like, the other players have to be there or not, without turning into you 5 guys arguing amongst yourselves, and the NPC getting kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems tricky. I didn't used to think about it a lot, but I've been thinking about it a lot more recently.
Talking about NPCs and one-on-one, I really enjoyed the random solo sessions we did back in Exalted.
That was like 2 years ago.
I think it made a lot of just neat story arc.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, you kind of got that...
I mean,
you had that chance to go deeper.
Something to, the character was like, okay, we see what the character does with the 5 people around, but when they're on their own or when they're on with, like, you know, we can take, and I'd love to run a game where we do something similar again, but instead of doing a solo session, we do a solo session in quotes, but have all the players here and everyone just plays a random NPC.
That's literally exactly what I was about to suggest.
Yeah,
like,
and that would be a ton of fun because we could just run through.
My caveat to that would be would that be baked into the game? Like, you have your character, and then there's 1 or 2 other characters you've built, kind of like Star Trek Adventures.
Yeah.
Where those characters, the 1 or 2 you've built don't have main kind of narrative arcs. They're just kind of there to be a character to roleplay.
Yeah.
And then we have certain sessions where it's just the main character acting and everyone else plays their backups.
Yeah. And maybe going to Godbound for an example. Maybe the characters you built are like
your high
some of
priests.
your high priests
Your
or your
guides.
something, and you know, or they're just a random person. Like it could be. Your
I like the idea
priest,
of guys
it could
because
be
then you can build like a relationship web.
Yeah, exactly, and and then it would be like, you know, oh, this person takes the high priest from someone else because they need some help, or they take their own high priest and someone else plays their high priest.
And then you can have like a session where you focus in on that character.
Yeah.
See, it's funny because Fellowship, because that's the next one we're kind of looking at. It's a lot about the word fellowship, where like you gain the trust of the community, you gain relationship with them, and you have relationships among minions that you guys have. The game gives you capital G guys.
Yeah.
Like when you start out, if you're the dwarf, you can have like a dwarven you can have dwarven arbalists and miners with you, and they're named actual physical people.
Yeah.
So like, I think they're a little more gear than they are character, but still.
I mean, if you're playing Noble, then I think half your stuff is your people.
Yeah. So, like, if you did solo sessions, you could easily be like, hey, you guys are going to represent their gear NPCs, or NPCs from other characters you've loaned out to them.
Yeah.
And that's, like, baked into it, where you can do those kinds of sessions.
I think that would be a lot of fun, because it would show, as you say, it would really delve into certain characters more, and just kind of flesh them out and make them feel more real, more interesting.
I think it's a comfort thing, because, like, I feel like we as a group aren't super comfortable sidelining everyone else for ourselves. Like we come off as super like selfless in that regard. Not selfless, but like we're conscious that we don't want to eat up the spotlight for everyone else.
Yeah.
Because like, how far do you push it? You don't want to take up the whole night for where it's like everyone's coming over for week just to see you. So
Yeah.
I think that's something we got to get more comfortable with. Sometimes that's okay.
Yeah.
Without us, feeling like we've transgressed against the other group.
And I think that's, doing those solo sessions, it's like, okay, well, this is my night to shine.
Yeah.
Next week or next day or whenever is your night to shine or your night to shine.
You plan it out when it becomes
And-
necessary. You don't need to necessarily schedule it, but it's
No,
not like,
but
hey, I
you-
need this for this.
Yeah, but then it kind of, I mean, not saying that I personally am all like, yeah, the spotlight, let's do it. Because you know me, I don't
Yeah.
always, I don't talk well all the time. But like, sometimes it's nice to just be like, yeah, this one's, I'm really in a talkative mood, or I'm really in a this
will be
kind of
me.
mood, and this one's about me. Or,
You
and
get to
so,
flesh out your
Well,
own
I'm not
character.
sure whether if you had 5 people who'd be playing your solo session, quote unquote, would that necessarily be that necessarily useful for some people? Because some of you might want a more intimate
oh yeah, no,
session
and
where
I'm not
maybe
saying-
2-3 people.
yeah,
talk
so
together.
it depends. I'm just saying,
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the full house, obviously.
No, but-
the other thing is I'm always worried about excluding people, where it's like, hey, we don't need you, so don't come over and hang out with us.
yeah,
this
no,
week.
that's kind of what I was meaning is like, you can have the full house, or if, because we drive a long distance and it's like, oh, well, we're, not
like-
feeling well today or something, so go the 4 of you or whatever. Or,
Yeah.
One of your solo sessions. or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's logical.
yeah, or we come out and you're not feeling good that day, so you don't want to come over. Like, it doesn't.
What is Peter not here? Doesn't Peter live here?
Fucking Lord, right?
He's just
Peter
always
lives here
here.
more than we do. Peter owns property.
Peter bought that back corner right there.
Peter has land.
The value is only going up.
Land rights. Land rights. Eminent domain.
So, circling back to Broken Worlds.
Oh, is that what we're talking about?
Before we do, but yeah, no, I like the idea of kind of delving deeper into characters to kind of like the 5 people in a room and maybe a 6th person all kind of talking amongst themselves. I feel like we if we could just kind of pivot that towards like more depth for individual characters, that'd be good.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the idea of doing the solo sessions, quote unquote. I'm sure we'll find it better.
I think what you did with Chronicles of the Supreme Vampire, where you have some time slots, and the first time of the day, it's a little soul thing.
Yeah.
That might be more in there, so everybody has a little bit of time to start up, get it going,
That reminds me.
and then go.
Exactly. That reminds me. See, I think where Broken Worlds was a little more had a little more depth to it was when it was just me, Nicole, and Kevin for the Underworld game, because it was the 2 players bouncing off of the DM. So no matter which side went in, there was always there wasn't a lot of sideline.
Yeah.
And with Chronicles of Darkness, that worked really well because it was me, Kevin, Nicole, and Peter. So we had 3 people, and in the first half of the night, it was individual, and then we could wrap it back around to them all being together in the last quarter of the night.
Yeah.
And time-wise, that actually worked out pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Much harder.
getting the bigger groups you run,
Yeah.
the crazier things get. I'm running a campaign, as I say, back with 3 people, and it's really nice.
What really holds it back, and this is just the matter of format, is that we record. See,
Yes,
back in the day, back in the before time, I and other people would run the game that the Epic Evil setting came from, and that would have 8 to 12 people in it.
Yeah.
8 to 12 people in a conference room in a
And
big
that's-
building, who would just we'd go through we'd start at 4 or 5 p.m. and not until 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But we got a lot done. There was a lot of spotlight happening. There was a lot of independent moments to happen. But the reason that happened was because there was the GM at the front of the sort of UN style room with everyone on benches and tables. But as they were running through individual people's scenes that required the GM to focus, people would break off into clusters and they would run their own scenes with each other, where they would discuss stuff and role play and send NPCs and act out as their NPCs and do combats and stuff that didn't require a lot of super overhead because those guys knew the rules and were doing it. And then when I was like, done my thing with when the cluster I was doing with this as GM was done, the other groups would go like, oh hey, this is what we did in the meantime, by the way.
Yeah.
And they just like, this is what send this out as a UN resolution to the world. Let the world know this just happened. Yeah. But because our format is recording, you can't do cross table talk.
Yeah.
And that's something that groups usually do. Like if I'm the GM and I'm talking to, or if I'm the referee and I'm talking to like Peter and Kevin and they're doing a scene, then you three could actually branch off on your side of the table and be like, okay, well, we're going to take care of this, this, and this, and talk about that shit. And then when we're done, you're like, oh, by the way, when you guys were done, we fucking actually blackmailed the vineyard owner, and now we own the vineyard. And it's like, holy shit, that fixes a big problem.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but compounding on that is we pause for, different rule mechanics, different that, and that eats up a lot of our time coming in and out of recording. So it's not only just that we can't break off into groups, but
we can't compartmentalize.
We eat time doing other things, and so by the time the night's over, we have an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours recorded, but we've been here 5, 6, 7 hours.
For Broken Worlds, we didn't really do that all that much.
No,
Broken Worlds was I call it signal to noise. Like the signal being gameplay and the noise being pauses for the goddamn fucking stupid mechanics was much better. Godbound is good for it. Broken Worlds has been good for
Exalted's
it.
up here.
Exalted was terrible for it. Amp was really bad for it too.
Amp there's some
fucking Savage Worlds was probably the worst. I'm gonna say Savage Worlds was our worst signal to roll.
Good thing we didn't play Contact.
Pardon?
Good thing we didn't play Contact.
Yeah, if we played Contact, that would have been shit. I would have taken a shit.
Guys, just play XCOM and pretend that's what happened.
Mechanics-heavy games really don't mesh well with recording unless you all know the rules.
Unless you record the video of the noise rolling or something and measuring sticks and.
Unless you like Contact is the German XCOM tabletop game, and it has a shit ton of rules, way too many for what we want to do. Whereas, say, a Powered by the Apocalypse game based around the XCOM experience, where it just recognizes the main narrative hooks of being an XCOM game.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Does anyone do an XCOM Powered by the Apocalypse?
You could do an XCOM Powered by the Apocalypse. I actually had some ideas about that, some vague ideas of how you'd work that out, because there's games like Legacy.
Oh.
Legacy would be really good for that, because you could build the organization. The clan you play and then the individual. The clan could be your squad, and the individual could be either the handler or the or the actual like hero squad of that squad. Kind of like how in Warhammer 40k, when you build a squad of like Marines or whatever, one might be the commander. So the organization would be like that squad, and the commander would be the hero unit, and it would like you could do
be
a whole
a
thing.
branch of the XCOM or something, because like they're different companies.
Exactly. I was thinking for Legacy, you could also use that to build like a Stardew Valley game, because because Legacy has actually a pretty good resource system where it's like you have to get, and it's called like plus tech or plus medicine plus resources plus alien. And it's like these different tags for resources. So if you were to do like a Stardew Valley Harvest Moon type Powered by the Apocalypse game, it would be all about using moves to leverage. You'd leverage resources and relationships to build up profit and like trade out resources like combat resources, like foraging and fishing and harvesting and combat resources. So it's this vague idea in my head, and like there wouldn't be a referee. Everyone would be a farmer or something.
One day
You'd be like a sharecrop. And there'd be no GM. There'd just be like the reaction to your moves changes the context of the environment. So everyone's a player.
Oh no, we over-harvested, guys.
Yeah, we famined the land.
We all went for the most expensive crop, and now it's worthless.
Do that what do you call it? Tulip bulb shares or whatever, or like Spice and Wolf economics.
We oversaturated the market.
We've destroyed this village. Wine is worthless here. Money is worthless.
Well, everyone go for the ancient fruit wine.
Yeah, right now it's worth nothing.
Next time.
But that is what I was kind of thinking. Where did this come from? XCOM, Crunch, signal to noise. Yeah. When we pick games that have a better signal to noise ratio, the games run smoother, and we have less seek time, and we get less exhausted.
Yeah.
Because, pausing to do, like, big rules lookup, like in Savage Worlds or, like, in Exalted, like, just, it tires you out.
Yep.
It sucks all the fun of it, because you have to stop, look it up, do the thing, come back, pick up the pace again, pause again at the next interaction. It gets irritating. And yeah. the big thing holding us back from doing those kind of spin-offs and single roleplay things without prepping for it is the fact that we record. There's no way to record 2 or 3 different people talking about stuff at once at all.
No.
Like it's just not possible.
Well, we'd have to get 3 different rooms and recording devices, and it would be utterly ridiculous.
It's unfeasible. Like if I had a house that had rooms, like a nice Ottawa house with 5-6 extra rooms, we could set up anaerobic foam in them and stuff, and be like, okay, you guys are spinning off. Hit the record button, you assholes. It goes to the fucking rage storage medium.
But then you'd have to also be splicing them into
no, because each room would have its own little recorder connected to a computer, right? And you just start the recording, and it would automatically name the session based on the date. And then when we were done, I would just go and I'd be like, oh, okay, here's this episode, build this episode, and then I'd call it A, and then I'd go into that room, pull that episode file off for it, go to a network drive. And I'd pull up and be like, that's episode B, and this episode C. And then we'd have either 3 weeks of content where it's like, here's A of this episode, here's B, here's C. They're all alternate, it's like one story being told 3 different ways. Or I would do here's the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday episode, all different perspectives of the same session.
So it won't be choose your own story, where which character are you following? So there's
follow
the
the
main
A
thread, and then it's split into 3. So which one do you want to listen to?
So it's here's the A thread, here's the B thread, here's the C thread, and then it comes back together in the next session. And it's the next session's all together, and then it splits into an A and B thread, or sometimes it's an A, B, C, D thread. It would require many things. It would require us to move to Ottawa and have a house that has rooms. It would require you guys to live in Ottawa and us have a gaming group. It would require many, many things to work. None of which will probably happen.
I feel like Ottawa's fairly far. I think there's closer places, but...
I mean, just sell that house you own and move to Ottawa.
Oh, God. No, I like the house.
I know, right? It's a nice house.
It's a Broken Worlds.
I don't know. That was a fun one.
Yeah, I know.
Move out your best friend neighbors from the basement and turn that into 4 or 5 different recording booths.
There you go.
And then we'll move nearby.
That works, right?
And
their
boots
kid
off
doesn't
you
need a place
constantly.
to stay.
Exactly.
Like good friends.
And then we'll set that all up.
There you go.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the idea of how to kind of deal with delving in deeper into character backstories through solo sessions. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
If people come to the table and it's let's do a solo session, here are the NPCs we usually kind of play from the pool, and we'll dive into backstory. We'll dive into goals you want to meet.
Yeah.
And make them A and B sessions.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, I think.
I think so too. Yeah, Broken Worlds itself is fun. It does Exalted perfectly. It hits that note. The big complications, I think there's a little too much of Dungeon World in it. And again, I might not be 100% right. I've looked through Dungeon World, but it might have a bit too much of it for us, where the focus on the actual kind of rhythmic combat system is a bit too combat and a bit not enough conflict. But again, that's fine for what we use it for.
I mean, you have 3 different health stats. It is a combat game.
It's a conflict game. I would say conflict, and I would say it's weighted a bit too more towards the combat, but that's part of the genre. I'm basically fine with it. I think it fits much better than anything else we've ever tried. It does the parts of Exalted I like better than Godbound did. But Godbound does the parts of Exalted the other parts of Exalted I like better than any other game has.
Yeah.
Having your own cult, having influence in the world, changing the world significantly. Mm-hmm. Godbound is the game where you want to kind of move out and kind of start altering the landscape or the nature of the setting in a really
dramatic
weird way, I would say. Whereas Broken Worlds, you can still do that, but it doesn't let you cast a spell to change the setting. Godbound kind of lets you do that a lot.
Yeah.
Where it's if I have the word of city, I'm going to build an entire empire in a couple sessions. It's going to be there. Broken Worlds makes you actually fight your way through that and actually take it with violence.
Yeah, God was more of a ground strategy part of that thing, I would say.
5x compared to a fighting game.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's different catering. And they both do it much better than X3 did for us. Anything you want to talk about after that? Anything that came to mind? Anything you guys liked?
I just liked it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool. I would definitely play Broken Worlds with people who don't play a ton.
Oh,
They just wanted something that was hey, we just want to do awesome combat,
Yeah.
and not think about it. It's like, I know the game that we should play.
Yeah, you can pick up Broken Worlds in a night. Like, building characters takes no time at all. Getting into
And
the
it's
rules
all on
takes-
the sheet right there for you.
It's a great design philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. Like I think it's the 90% problem where it's like something is good enough, but then once it's good enough, you start looking at how it could be better.
Yeah.
Like there aren't huge gaps. This isn't Pathfinder we're talking
It's
about.
probably like the simplest system I've ever played. Like grasp it like
Yeah.
super quickly.
It's
of all the
very-
systems I've played.
Accessible is the word I use.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we're all done. I'm looking at droopy faces, sleepy eyes. So I think we'll wrap, eh? So this was the outro episode for Broken Worlds, Gangs of New Gloam. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves, listeners. And
Maniacs.
yeah, stay tuned. Check out other Exalted stuff. Check out other stuff in general. Broken Worlds is really fun. Can be found on Tom Parkinson, Abaddon, Tom or Abaddon, the guy who makes Kill 6 Billion Demons.
Oh, link in description.
His Patreon has Broken Worlds, so go to it and check it out. I've linked it in literally every episode we've ever posted. So if you've somehow missed that, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're using a podcasting app. Anyway, I was Devin,
Nicole.
Ian.
Kevin.
Peter.
Anthony.
and this is sponsored by Nobody. Signing off.